y'all, Dixie here. Today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, and that is trail magic. The reason I want to cover this topic today is I know there are a lot of people who either physically or maybe at what stage they are in their life right now, they cannot be involved in the backpacking community by getting out there and section hiking or through hiking. Or even if you can, but you want to stay involved in other ways, then you might be interested in learning more about trail magic. For those of y'all who do not know what trail magic is, it is basically a random act of kindness that is received on the trail. A person who performs these selfless acts is known as a trail angel on the trail. Now, a trail angel could be somebody who does trail magic or who also gives a hiker a ride, say that's trying to hitchhike to town to resupply. Or I've even had trail angels who allow thru hikers to stay with them and do laundry, and they feed them. But because everyone may not be comfortable with inviting a stranger into their car or into their homes, then today I want to focus more on trail magic, which is typically something given on trail. So if you're interested in doing trail magic and being involved in that way, then I'll go over some things that I found that I really enjoyed while thru hiking, and then maybe some tips for finding good spots to do trail magic. One example of trail magic might be a water cache found on trail. Water caches really came in handy for me on the Pacific Crest Trail and the Continental Divide Trail, so the trails where there were longer carries of water. There was one area on the Appalachian Trail that I experienced a dry stretch, and there was a water cache there. But basically, a water cache is where somebody will come out and leave either big jugs of water or maybe even gallon jugs chained to a tree, so that hikers who thought they were going to have to carry water through a very long dry stretch will be pleasantly surprised, because chances are hikers are carrying just how much water they almost need to survive, probably not enough to really be comfortable through those stretches. So it's a really nice thing to end up with more water than you thought you were going to have. Instead of water caches, sometimes folks might even leave a cooler. In the cooler there might be water, but also some sports drinks, maybe snacks, and one of my favorite things to find in a cooler is fruit. Like cold, fresh fruit is just one of the best treats in my opinion on trail. Just anything that you find cold when it's hot outside is very magical. I remember one stretch that had cold fruit and cold drinks in it on the Pacific Crest Trail, and that was the Aqueduct. It's a very long, dry stretch that also has pretty much no shade. And then on the CDT, there was the same thing going into Rawlins. There were several coolers that construction workers had put out, and they had cold fruit in them among water and other things. Another thing that's wonderful to find, in addition to maybe a water cache or coolers, is like a tub of supplies. So in the tub might be things like Neosporin, gauze bandages, blister treatment, extra batteries, or maybe even small rolls of duct tape. So a lot of times hikers will tear off a strip of duct tape and roll it upon itself, or maybe even wrap it around their trekking poles. But anyway, to find like little rolls of duct tape is really nice, because you might use it to repair your gear, and then when you get to town you don't want to buy a huge roll and have to throw it in the hiker box. I mean, I guess that's not the worst thing, because then other folks can use it. But on the CDT, sometimes there weren't hiker boxes, so you're just walking up to a random stranger saying, hey, would you like some duct tape? So anything like that hikers use in small amounts and don't necessarily want to buy in bulk, that would be wonderful to find in a supplies bin. Maybe even things like ibuprofen, Tylenol. I know for myself, I would have loved to have some diarrhea medicine one time on the Appalachian Trail. And yes, these are things that people should be carrying anyway, but maybe while you're in town, you forget to restock on your supply, or you thought foolishly, like myself, like I don't need diarrhea pills, I'll get those if I need them. But I do not go hiking without diarrhea medicine anymore, lesson learned on that. But if I could have found a tub with diarrhea medication or maybe some Tums or something like that, I would have absolutely given my pinky toe for it. Another thing that I found at a water cache one time that was super helpful was solar panel chargers. Now, of course, this depends on what trail you're doing trail magic on. So this was on the Pacific Crest Trail, where it was really exposed and it made sense to have a solar panel charger. But another idea might even be like battery banks. So if you're somewhere that you're passing a lot, that you can access easily and charge those banks and kind of rotate them out. Now, of course, I would like to think that hackers wouldn't steal something like that, but I would definitely say, just in case, don't put something out there that you would be devastated to part with. Again, I like to think that most of my fellow thru hikers are good folks, and I have never personally dealt with theft on the trail, but just something to think about. Now, I give these specific ideas because this is something that on the Pacific Crest Trail really saved me. I was about 1 day away from town, and I got to a water cache that was in a very dry stretch, so I was pretty excited to find the cache. Yeah! But I'd taken a little bit longer in that stretch than I intended to, and I thought if I just had one more charge on my phone and maybe a few extra snacks, you know, I could really be comfortable this last day heading into town. And sure enough, this cache had some snacks, and they had the solar panel chargers, and I mean, it just really was a lifesaver.
I cannot get over this. Like, everything I need is in this one stop.
This is great.
I really can't believe it.
Finding a stretch or an area like that where, you know, it might take a little bit longer for hikers to get through than they're expecting, it would really be wonderful to find stuff like this. And finally, there is the full setup trail magic, which is probably my favorite type of trail magic, and I assume a lot of my fellow thru hikers would agree. And this is where somebody will come and set up and not just, you know, leave something out for hikers to find, but they'll actually be there kind of manning a trail magic station, if you will. Now, this is something you could go out and do for a day, or even do like a weekend camp out kind of thing, you know, in one spot. This is also something that I feel like scouts would enjoy. So if you take your Girl Scout or a Boy Scout troops out to do some trail magic for thru hikers, and might even inspire some of them to spend more time outdoors hiking or backpacking, or maybe they'll even aspire to do a thru hike someday. Let them hang out with some stinky thru hikers, and they can see that someday they'll actually be able to just eat all the junk food they want to, and be stinky and only bathe once a week, and, you know, spend a lot of time outdoors chasing and talking to critters. I mean, that's like every 5-year-old's dream, I feel like. But if you watched especially my AT videos and even some on the PCT, there were several examples of this, you know, full setup. A lot of folks will come out and either set up in a shady area with some camping chairs, or they might even set up like the canopy tents that you can get that folks use to tailgate. Because I received so much trail magic while I was thru hiking the Appalachian Trail, I wanted to go back the following year and kind of pay it forward. So me and several of my trail family members went back out there, and we set up for a weekend at Brown Gap, and we did do some canopies and had some camping chairs out there. We decided to do batch meals because we found those to kind of be the easiest, you know, something that you can make a lot of to feed a lot of folks. So for breakfast, we did pancakes, and then for different meals during different times, we did things like spaghetti, chili, we did hot dogs and hamburgers. Again, just things that are kind of easy to do a lot of as people come up. And another idea, which I don't think I ever received or ever gave, is pizza. So it might be for somebody that's just gonna go out and sit for a few hours. I promise you, if you bring several boxes of pizzas out there and hand them out to thru hikers, not a single person will complain. Some other ideas might be yogurt, or if you have a way, like some dry ice or something, to bring out some ice cream, fresh fruit, real coffee, just anything that these backpackers aren't putting in their pack and taking on the trail with them. Nobody's gonna complain for sure about anything that you have, but, you know, like peanut butter, tuna, wraps, things like that that backpackers are constantly eating, those probably won't be enjoyed as much as, you know, the things that we don't typically have on trail with us. But you don't have to go all out like that for trail magic. Hikers truly appreciate the smallest things. Like, it's all about the simple things in life when you're out there and you're backpacking. In fact, one of the smallest things that you can do that is huge to thru hikers is if somebody offers to take my trash, it's magical. I've had a lot of day hikers pass and they'll say, hey, by the way, do you have any trash that, you know, you've been carrying and you want me to take out for you? And yes, I will never turn down somebody who offers to take my trash. Now, I've had a lot of folks ask, okay, so I want to do trail magic, but where is the best place to do it? If you're going to do trail magic on the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, the Vermont Long Trail, the Colorado Trail, or the John Muir Trail, All of those are listed in Guthook. And if you look in the Guthook app, you can see it's even listed in sections. So you don't have to buy the maps for the entire trail. You can just buy, one section. It might cost you like $10 or so. And on that map, you can see where the trail intersects different roads. Now, I would say avoid choosing like a major highway where folks might go into town to resupply. You can do it there and it will be appreciated for sure. But a lot of times when hikers get to a road after a long stretch, they're just ready to get to town. They're ready to take a shower, to get some real food, and they might stop by the Trail Magic for a little while, but chances are they're going to be in a rush to go ahead and get to town. Also, if folks are coming out of town and they have their packs full, and they hit your Trail Magic, again, they'll probably stop and talk to you for a while, drink a beer if you have any, and then they're gonna truck on. They probably won't wanna eat too much because they've just been in town eating town food and their packs are full and they want to reduce the weight of their food bag in their pack instead of, eating whatever food you have at your Trail Magic. What I would recommend is looking for kind of more remote access points. So maybe a Forest Service road, some random dirt road that the trail intersects. That way you're hitting through hikers maybe in the middle of a stretch, and it's much more likely that they're gonna sit and hang out for a while. And of course you can get other local maps. It's just that I am very familiar with the Guthook app and I feel like it's pretty easy to navigate. You can see, is this a gravel lot area? Is there a good place to park? You can get an idea about the area before you even have to go there. Another resource I suggest for trying to find good places to do Trail Magic is Facebook. A lot of times there are groups for the different trails. So for example, for the year of 2019, if I was gonna do Trail Magic, I would go to Appalachian Class of 2018 on Facebook, and there's probably a group that will pull up and you can ask in there, where do y'all wish you would have received Trail Magic? Or where was your favorite place to receive Trail Magic the year that you hiked? What was your favorite type of food to receive for Trail Magic? Or what do you wish different folks at Trail Magic would have had to offer? And the same thing with all of the other trails. Also, sometimes, there's not maybe a certain class year, but just an overall group for that trail. And as always, there is the Homemade Wanderlust Backpacking Forum group on Facebook. And there are a lot of folks in there who have experience on all sorts of different trails, so you could also ask in there if you want more ideas of what different folks like. The last thing that I want to mention about Trail Magic before I close today is leave no trace. So it is very nice of folks to come out and do Trail Magic, whether it's water caches, coolers, the full setup. But I think it's very important to note to leave things how you found them, especially if you're going to do the full setup. It's recommended that you do this in developed areas. So for example, Brown Gap, like I was talking about on the Appalachian Trail, it's a remote access point, but there are also dirt roads and some gravel. So the area is already well established. It's not going out to some pristine point in nature and just kind of leveling it all out and tearing it all up to have this Trail Magic. And you want to make sure that when you leave, you have all of the trash, that you've restored the site to exactly what it was. And just remember that this is nature, and we do need to remember to leave no trace. I would also say to be aware of any permits or anything like that in the specific area that you're doing Trail Magic. Not all of them will have that, but it's just something to keep in mind. I don't want everyone saying, well, Dixie told me to show up and I could just do Trail Magic anywhere. So definitely look into that before you get to a specific area. And in reference to the coolers and leaving bins for people, any kind of Trail Magic that you're going to do where you leave it and you're not present with it, you want to make sure that you're conscious of the animals in that area. So it might not be a good idea to just bring in a Rubbermaid bin in the middle of grizzly country or bear country for that matter, because bears do get acclimated to being fed by humans if humans are feeding them, and whether that is accidentally or on purpose. In fact, just so you know, in general, the Appalachian Trail Conservancy considers any coolers or bins like that where folks bring something and just leave it, they consider it to be litter, and they ask that people actually don't bring something like that to the trail and it be unmanned. You know, they prefer a trail angel to bring something and sit there with it and then take it with them when they leave. So again, just be aware of the area that you're doing trail magic and make sure you follow the rules of that specific area or of that specific trail. Well, that is all I have for y'all today. There are all different sorts of ideas that I could give you for trail magic, but the video would probably be like 2 hours long with me being like, and I really liked that, and I really liked this. So if any of y'all watching have ever received trail magic and there was like a favorite thing that you received, or maybe you did trail magic and you have ideas for other people of what they could do that you think the hikers really loved, and even locations, if y'all have good locations for the trails that, you know, folks are doing trail magic, then please feel free to share all of that stuff about trail magic in the comments below. I like for this to be a community where we can all kind of share different ideas about all things backpacking. But thank y'all so much for watching, and we will see y'all next time.